good morning, and how do you do? Yes, so got on a little bit early today, like I like. Had an interesting day, but let me give you my tip up front. This is for directors. This was something that took me a long time to learn, and I'm giving you this tip right now so that you can prepare. If you're directing even a short film, if you're directing a feature film, if you're just doing some testing videos or some kind of idea you want to direct and you're working with live, real actors, you need to think ahead of time how you are going to establish your control that this is your project. Now, when you work with friends as actors, sometimes that's a little bit easier and sometimes a little more difficult. But the tip is that you have to decide how you're going to establish control that this is your project and you want to get your vision across. The simplest way is to explain that to your cast and crew right up front. Have a nice meeting. Now, I'm not saying come in there and be like a jackass where you're trying to be a dictator or anything like that. But you want to make it clear that you have the final say on your project. And you can even soften it by saying, when I help you, I understand that you will have the final say on your project. That's how it works a lot in college, where students are collaborating on each other's projects. One time you're the director, one time you're the writer, one time and then you work on other people's projects, so you share those hats and those responsibilities. But that's a way to make sure that they know you're a director, this is your project, and you want to bring your vision to life. And you can do it in a nice, kind, pleasing, normal way. And you need to make that clear. A lot of times when I started, I really didn't have that problem because I started, actually, to tell you the truth, I don't know why I didn't have that problem much when I first started. I guess because I kind of, to be honest, I kind of think I exude leadership. And people just seem to listen and want to listen to what I had to say. But sometimes I did run into that problem. Later on in years, I've had actors challenge me. I've had camera people challenge me. I've had sound people challenge me on the set in front of the cat crew. And usually what I do is I pull them aside. I say, okay, let's step out and talk for a minute, blah, 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 blah. And then I talk calmly to them and I remind them that this is my project. This is the way I want it done. And I understand you have ideas. I don't mind being given ideas. And if I like them, I'll take them, but also don't be offended if I don't use it. That's my normal thing that I say at the beginning of each production. I do like to get ideas from cast and crew, especially creative ideas that could make the project better. And you have the cast and crew's investment of wanting this to be good when they do give you ideas. Sometimes you can get carried away and you have to stop and say, look, guys, this is what I normally do. Look, guys, I love your ideas. I love listening to them. I know sometimes these ideas are good. Some ideas I want to use, and I will use them. But I don't want you to be offended if I decide not to use it. So that's how I handle it. You can handle it in some kind of way like that. But you need to establish that you're going to make the final decision. That is how it works. That's the only way it's going to move forward smoothly. So be prepared. Think that through. How are you going to deal with if you're working with friends? How are you going to deal with if you're working with other colleagues? It's a lot easier when you're hiring actors and actresses and crew and you're paying them. That's a lot easier. But a lot of times in the beginning, it's volunteer. People are volunteering. People are helping you because they like you. They want to work with you. They want to help you. So you have to be diplomatic. But you still have to let them know that you will make the final decision because this is ultimately your project. And if it turns out good, you're going to love all the accolades. If it turns out bad, you're going to get all the bad comments. So you just need to make that known in some kind of normal, normal human to human way. You don't, like I said, you don't have to come in and try to be a drill sergeant. You don't have to come in and try to be, something crazy, a dictator or whatever. But you need to establish your leadership as a director. Bottom line. Bottom line. So that's my tip. And if you start early, even on your small projects, it will get easier and easier and easier for you to step into that position of authority. And one thing that makes it easier to step into that position of authority is if you prepare in pre-production. You need to have what I call a list of lists. And you know what scenes you want to shoot on what day. You know where the wardrobe is coming from. You know where the meals for the cast and crew are coming from. You know almost everything that you can think of, questions, you know the answer to those questions that someone might ask you. And only way to do that is to get prepared before the shoot. Pre-production costs you nothing. So that's where you get prepared. And that will give you the confidence to be a leader. A leader has to be prepared. So think about that. Do a search online about preparing. Tons of information out there about preparing to shoot a short film as the director. And find out what you need to know and figure it out. Again, have a list of lists with answers so that you can answer those questions when people come up to you and you've thought about it. You're not just standing there saying, well, maybe we can do. That's not a leader. That's not a leader. So if you put yourself in this position as a director and you want to take it seriously, want to succeed, have what you need at hand. Have the answers. Now, you're not going to have all the answers. Nobody has all the answers. But you need to prepare. And so that's one way that helps you assume the authority of a director. Knowing your scenes you're going to shoot, knowing how you're going to shoot them, knowing why you're shooting this scene, know the script, know the characters, how you want them to be played. That's not saying you don't have any leeway. That's not saying you don't collaborate with actors, you don't collaborate with the crew, you don't let the sound man do his thing, you don't let the cameraman do his thing, come up with ideas, come up with visually creative ideas. You want that. That's why film is a collaborative effort. You want to collaborate, but you need to establish that you have the final say. And you don't have to be crazy about it. You don't have to be a jerk about it. You just have to take that authority and be willing to display it. So that's something you need to think about if you haven't directed or you're about to direct. And sometimes you might have to pull people aside. Don't scream at people. Don't yell at people in front of everybody. Just say, let's talk. Let's step outside for a second and discuss what their concerns are. And listen, really listen, and then let them know, So those are things you need to think about before you get on the set. All right, so that was my tip for today for young and new directors. But what I want to talk about next is I had 2 auditions today. I got them yesterday from my agent and my manager for full SAG jobs, which I'm happy for. The first of many, I hope. Auditions are starting to come in here in California, and it feels good to get back to trying for work again. And so I did both of those this morning. One was for a national commercial, and the other was for a television series, a day player on a television series. That national, big, well-known television series has been running over 25 years. I don't even know how the show's still on the air, but people like it. But anyway, I was happy to get those auditions. And luckily for me, the parts were really similar to my character, so I didn't need to put who I really am. Right age, right race, my type. So I didn't really need to put a whole bunch of work into it. But the auditions went good. I just finished editing them and I submitted them. Self-tapes auditions. So you prepare, you shoot it here yourself, and then you upload it to one of the casting services, whoever the company is using it. So that went good. It's a good feeling to get back to my acting again and getting in the running. There's a lot of competition in this business, but it's great to be in the running. And as an actor, you have to remember to feel thankful that, especially as a character actor like myself, you have to feel thankful that you made it through that first round, because you wouldn't believe how many actors and actresses submit for every role. And I'm talking about the small roles, like this is a small speaking role. And both of those are small speaking roles. And you just wouldn't believe the numbers. It's each role, I say anywhere between 500 to 800 actors are submitted for each role, even the small roles. So to be called in, you have to realize that, okay, yes, I'm heading on that path. And you submit your information, you submit your tape, and then hopefully make it to that next round. So that's part of the business. That's what you as an actor signed up for. Continuous job interviews. Continuous, nonstop job interviews. And you have to realize that that first stage of getting requested to send in the self tape is a big accomplishment. You know, you've made it over a big hurdle just to get called in. So that's the mindset. That's the mindset. And I want actors out there who are new to understand that unless you reach that epitome level, the 1%, this is the career. This is what it's about. Auditioning, hopefully booking a job, and then moving on to the next one. That's what your life will be. That's what it will be. And that's the life of most union actors. There's the very few of the Tom Cruises and the whoever A-lister you want to name. There's very few of those. Then there's a level right underneath that, known, recognizable character actors. And then there's a level under that where I am, regular character actors. And that's where the union is made up of most actors. It's that level where you wouldn't even know they were an actor unless they tell you. And that's the business. That's the business. And you have to go into it with your eyes open, because most of the people live in that area where I'm in. You know, you have other jobs, you have other ways to live, you have another career, and acting is still there. Acting is your second career. Unfortunately, you want it to be your first career, but a lot of actors, it's their second career. And you continue to work because it's something that you've put years into, and then there's always that possibility that the role might come along before your time is up. And you have to decide, do I want to live like this? Do I want to continue to go on auditions and try out for roles and try to convince people that I'm the right person to put into their job? And that's the business. That's the business. You have to make that decision. Is this the lifestyle you want? And it's not easy. It is not easy. I made a lot of sacrifices. I turned down a lot of normal, high-paying jobs to continue to live this lifestyle. It's caused problems with my wife and myself, honestly, to be honest, because I could have done a lot of things in my life, you know, just normal careers where, you know, I would have been relatively successful, high middle class, or even above. But I chose this. And I love it and I hate it. There's two sides of it. But you have to make that decision. And you can't blame other people for, you know, your success or failure. But you have to understand that your hand, as a character actor, you are in other people's hands. You do the best you can with a self-tape or an in-person audition, and then it's out of your hands. The saying for actors is, do it and forget it. And that's the ticket. That's the deal. I'm just telling these things not to discourage you not to get into acting. I just want you to understand the real part of it. Again, the reason I named this unedited, because I like to tell answers that aren't comfortable to hear. The real answers, the answers that people may not want to hear. You know, you don't want to hear about the bad part. You want to hear about it's going to be great, it's going to be this, it's going to be that, you're going to make it, you're going to work every day. That's not true. You're not going to work every day. Some months you might go without work. So you do, without acting work. So you do need to have other ways to make a living. You need to have at least dual careers, multiple sources of income. So that's something you have to think about, because it's not guaranteed. There is no guarantee in any type of entertainment business. Acting, singing, dancing, sports, anything where you're out there entertaining people, there's no guarantee, and you have to accept that. You have to accept it with your eyes open, and you realize that you chose it. You chose to follow this career. And whether you make it or not, you have to decide, do I want to continue to try, or do I want to just go and get a normal career? Now, over my career, um, I've stopped for a while and taken normal, straight day jobs. But no, I can't do it. I couldn't do it. And now at my age now, I've spent my life pursuing this career and working in it, to some degree, some success, struggles, success, struggles. But that is what I chose. That is what I chose. I had a lot of opportunities to do other things. I took some of those opportunities. And when I was in those opportunities, I was miserable. I was miserable. And so I decided to keep on the path that I chose. And I continue to do it. And I had a big decision about, really 2 years ago. A couple of opportunities came to me for normal work week jobs, consistent pay, benefits, salary. The last one I left, I had an expense account. I had company cars, and car, and company credit card, and I couldn't do it. I could not stay there. I spent 40 years of my life pursuing this entertainment business, and I've got maybe like 20 left. Why am I going to stop now? So those are decisions you need to make if you decide that this is the career you want to pursue. If you want to get into acting, if you want to get into some type of entertainment field, it's all basically the same. You have to have talent, obviously. You have to believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one's going to believe in you. No one else is going to believe in you. So, it's a hard decision. So I just like to sometimes bring people back to reality who are deciding if this is something they want to do. Do you want to? Go for it. Everything with big reward requires a big risk. So that's the deal. That's the deal, what you signed up for. All right, so I'm going to let you go. I might stop back in again tonight. What I'm about to do now is I'm editing another video that will be on the channel. And this is something I shot a while ago. I just hadn't edited it. And I'm going to make some shorts out of it. So it's back to my normal content, talking to actors again. Again, my topic here is acting, directing, and editing. Please go to my channel. You'll see it in the link below. And I'm asking you to check out some of my playlists. I have a bunch of videos I've accumulated over the past year for you guys, all different types of topics, but some that fit in my realm, acting, directing, editing. I always try to stick in my lane, as they say. I'm starting to talk a lot now about artificial intelligence also. You'll find some videos there about that, but it's also related to these creative endeavors I do. And in closing, I want to say that I'm here in California. California just passed some laws regulating or beginning to try and regulate artificial intelligence. I've been reading through some of them, and once I start getting my mind around it a little bit more and reading other opinions and other feedback, I want to make some videos here that explains it for you guys relatively clearly, but I need to grasp my mind around a lot of the details first, and once I do, then I want to share it with you. So thanks for stopping by, and I will see you again either later this evening or again in the morning. Thanks a lot.